Yo, what is up? Welcome back. Friday Fuel from unknown to unforgettable. We got two actually special, unforgettable guests today. I'm super excited for as you're coming in here. Drop in the comments where you're coming in from. I'm coming always from Arizona. My chat was going off about how cold it was in Texas, how cold it was in Missouri. And I was like, dang. I'm literally standing here in Arizona in my shirt and a t-shirt. 40 degrees. It's like 45 degrees out. I'm like, dude, I'm chilling. I'm literally chilling. So it's not as bad. It's Christmas is coming up. So drop in the comments where you guys are coming in from. And I hope you guys enjoy it. It's never time to turn off, to like put on the brakes, right? Continue to put gas on the fire, because if you slow down now, your start of 2023, like think about this. A lot of people say I'm going to wait till the first. And I don't know where I heard this actually, but it's like, why would you start the year with procrastination? If you're waiting till the first of the year, you're starting the year literally on procrastination. And a quick reminder, allow StreamYard to view your comments so I can actually see you. Because right now I see two Facebook users. I don't actually see profiles. So, but as you guys are tuning in, drop in the comments where you're coming in from. And a weekly win, for me, it's definitely growing on the marketing side, learning the skill. It's always great to add skills so you can add to your income, because what's cool about an initial investment into a skill is that you never know how much returns that actually is going to bring. It's just going to continuously going on. And I uploaded like 20 videos to my YouTube channel, which was really cool. So I'm really just trying to give back to you guys with this, and with a bunch of other ways as well. Bobby is coming in from Connecticut all the way across the country. Thanks for coming on here. We got Mansfield, Texas. Not sure who that is, but thanks for coming in. We got Jersey in the house. I love it. But these two guests are special. We got our very own, the winning on Wednesday guest. I mean, not guest, the show host. We got Joe Kampert, and we also got Victor Gonzalez coming on. Super excited. This is going to be super valuable. So make sure to get your notebooks out and pretty much just get ready for the fuel we're about to put on the fire. So Joe and Victor, I appreciate you guys coming on here, man.
What up?
What's up? What's up? Excited to be here.
Joe, I was super excited about this one because it's like you've interviewed me, I think like once, and I've never been able to. Oh, I have actually
on your show. Yeah.
But it's cool to be able to actually have you come on, and Victor, appreciate your time coming on here. What are your guys' weekly wins?
Dude, my weekly win's the same as you, man. You know that I've been putting a lot of work into our Syndicate YouTube channel, and it was hours. And I had like 6 videos uploading yesterday at once, and then we had a power outage for like 3 hours here in Cedar Park. So I was just like, no, like I had to restart the process. But everything's uploaded. That's definitely my weekly win, man. You don't realize how much it takes, which I'm sure Victor can attest to this. Just uploading stuff, and just the process, and really not even necessarily the process, just the time behind it is like, damn. So that's I'm right alongside you there, Johnny. Is that took quite a while, days, if I'm being honest. But now it's up there, so now I'm done. I don't have to do it to start off the new year, right? I'm not procrastinating. Let's get
there. You go. There you go. And the gym. You've been crushing it in the gym, even when it's super cold.
So I almost put that. I was like, hey, the 12 degrees, it felt like 1 degree in my garage this morning. That shit stopped me from working out. I'm not lying. I said, hey, the 36 ain't going to stop me. Yeah, 12 degrees, it stopped me, guys. I'll be honest.
It's all right. You get a pass, bro. You get a pass.
Right.
I love it. What about you, Victor?
Yeah, my weekly win, I'd say it's this is the week where I'm starting to prep for my business planning. So I'm excited about that for 2023. So I've got a lot of things planned, a lot of stretch goals that I'm trying to hit next year. So, getting prepped for that. And, obviously we're coming up into Christmas week. So I got a lot of the wrapping done for Christmas.
There you go.
it's difficult down in Florida because like every day feels the same.
Right.
I looked
love
up.
it.
I'm like, shit, man. We're 2-3 days away from Christmas, man. Like you don't even realize the season's here. So we knocked out probably like 40-50 gifts yesterday wrapping. So take that as a
Dang,
win.
dude. 40 to 50. I don't even have a single one yet, man. Nobody told my wife. Shit.
Jeez,
I got 3
bro,
kids, man. I got 3 kids. Got to get
true.
to work.
It's true.
Jeez,
I
dude.
don't have a lot of time on my hands, so when I do, just got to knock it out.
Yeah. Victor, you kind of mentioned something that I really want to ask you, because obviously, like, you've run very successful sales teams. You're an animal in that regard. Obviously, you've done some crazy stuff in the industry on the PNC side. Obviously, moving into the life side as well. You talked about stretch goals. What is, for an agent out there or somebody like a business owner? You have like you have goal. I don't know if you have goals and you have stretch goals, but I think there's a way to differentiate the two. How do you find your stretch goal? Because I think even for me, as I'm game planning for 2023, it's like, for me, I just was like, dude, I want to make $500,000. I mean, that's a huge mark, and I feel like that's definitely a stretch goal. But like, what do you feel like is the balance between a stretch goal and actually having a goal that you can actually hit and accomplish?
Yeah. So, I mean, I listen to a lot of super successful people, right? Like, I think we all have people that we look up to, right? So like, whether it's a Brad Lee or Gary Vee or Grant Cardone, or maybe it's someone in the industry, right? Like we all have people that we look up to. And so one of the things that I've seen that's like been consistent across all of them is like, you don't need to have an actual goal, because if you set a stretch goal that is, if everything goes perfect and you hit that stretch goal, then great, right? Like you've accomplished something that's really difficult to do. But the best part is if you stick to the script on a stretch goal, right? Something that's uncomfortable for you to reach, but is possible. It might not be entirely possible, but if you push yourself to that limit and everything goes right, you can get to it. Even if you miss that mark, you're still going to hit a goal that is above what you would have put if you placed a regular goal, right? So if your goal is $500,000 or let's say 500K, right? $500,000. And let's say your regular goal is $250,000, right? If you remove that $250,000 and you reach for that $500,000 and you settle at 350, you're 100,000 further than if you would have just reached a regular goal, right? And a lot of people become content when they hit that regular goal. And so that might be something that stops you from hitting that $500,000. And so I don't like to place regular goals. I like to set out stretch goals. And what I do is I kind of operate in the sense of like, I'm trying to put things in place to help me get to whatever that stretch goal is. So even if I don't hit it this year, I know next year with all the things that I've put in place to get to that number, I'll be that much closer to getting it. And then I'll put another stretch goal. And that's how you just keep growing, right? So that's what I do. I don't place a regular goal.
That's good stuff.
I think a lot of it too goes back into how, at least, I don't know, in the past like year or so, and Victor, I know that you feel this definitely, because when you have kids and just the days just go by and the weeks go by. And for me, it's almost turned into like, when I think of a stretch goal, I've started to really shift my goals away from just a calendar date, right? Like, it's just, for me, it's like, dude, I honestly don't even feel like there's weekends anymore. I just feel like, hey, dude, it's just another day, right? And so you have like those, what I call daily goals, are just really your routine. Those are your habits that you're doing on a daily basis, right? But then ultimately it's like, my goal doesn't, like, I don't say, oh man, I didn't hit my goal come December 31st, right? Now, again, not discouraging. I think those are good things to have in place. But for me, it's, okay, what am I going to do in the next 6 months, regardless of the actual calendar date, right? So I think that's really good, because I think a lot of people will just set, hey, this is what I want to do for the year, right? And it's like, well, like, is that really how we should be setting goals? Or is it more of like, hey, here's what I need, here's what I want to do in 12 months versus here's what I want to do in the year of 2023, right? So yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. And even that, man, like it sucks to limit yourself to a time, right? Yeah. Because let's say your goal is to make $20,000 a month, right? For a lot of people, that'd be life-changing, right? So if you set a goal of, hey, I want my recurring revenue to be $20K a month, like that's my first tier of my goals. Cool. Whether that takes you 6 months or it takes you 24 months,
right?
You're going to hit it. And you're going to be way ahead of many other people just because you focused on hitting that goal. And so, I wouldn't even put a time on it. Like, obviously, when you run a business, there's things that you need to put in place. If you have bonuses attached, if, like things like that, right, that are time constrained. But if it's something that's a personal goal that you're trying to attain, like, there's no reason to put any time on it. You just need to put processes in place that get you there. And then you fine tune those processes to get you there quicker. Right.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even put a time on it unless it was something that's absolutely necessary. Like if you work for a captive and obviously you have annual goals to hit bonuses, then you need to put a time frame on it. But if not, don't put a time frame on it. Don't put that pressure on yourself. It's about the process.
Yeah, that's really good. Chase McAllister coming in saying facts. I love it. And it's not a matter of aiming too high and missing. It's a matter at most aim too low and hit. I like that. At the same time, though, I think it's good to hit small goals because it builds, like Ed Milet talks about, like you're building your self-confidence, right? And so when a lot of people don't know what to do or struggle with confidence, it's like they're hitting small wins. And it's like habit stacking, right? So you're hitting a small win, waking up right when the alarm goes off. Okay, what's the next thing? And you hit that goal every day.
Right.
And then it's like, all right, then I'm going to do whatever your routine is. But then it also, like, I think about it too, like if your goal is to make 20 grand a month, and you hit it, I think it's easy to get complacent too. And I was actually having this thought today of like, instead of having my goal being a number, is being like, what kind of person do I have to become to actually be worthy of achieving that? And like for me, like my goal and my mission, like on my YouTube channel, is to document my journey to make $1 million in a year. And like I'm so far from that, but at the same time, I think it's like, who do I have to become to do that? I'm lacking so much to actually become that guy. However, I think it's so cool to be like, have a YouTube channel of like, people are going to be like, dang, I saw him walking around his neighborhood like a lot. And I saw the neighborhood he was living in then. And now I see what he's living in now, right? The Ty Lopez, right? But I kind of want to bring it back to you guys. So goal setting, huge in terms of running sales teams, because you've done that, right? With Allstate, successful stuff like that. In running that, what are some things that you think as a leader you feel like you need to have in regards to like just running a successful sales team? What kind of leader does that require?
Yeah, so it takes a few things. Number one, it's going to take self-awareness, right? To be a good leader, you need to be self-aware. And so you need to understand that like it's not about you, it's about the bigger goal. And you need to be able to point things out quickly. I come from a professional sports background. I played professional baseball, and I've always been in the team environment, right? And it took a long time for me to learn how to lead a team, especially on baseball when rosters are like 18, 20 people you got to lead, and it's a bunch of different personalities. You're all the same age, right? Growing up. So it's like, for me, it was very difficult to sit back and remove myself out of the equation, where it's not like, cool, we're all playing on the same team, but I'm the leader of this team. And if I have a bad day, like, it's not okay for me to just sit and pout. I need to be the face of this team, right? And so having that self-awareness to keep yourself in check is the first key. And the second key is being able to have empathy for the rest of your team, right? Too many people set goals and they put boundaries in place for their teams, and they don't empathize with their team when people are going through things in their personal lives and they let it affect their work. And it's just so cut and dry, where it's like, oh, you have a bad attitude, get out of here. Instead, you should be like, hey, let's go take a walk around the block, talk. Let's go get some fresh air. Let's go get a cup of coffee. Let's talk about what's going on, see what's bothering you. You're bringing down the rest of the team. Is it something going on at home? Is it something that we can help with, right? So that's how you build a relationship with a team. And the stronger that relationship gets, the more they want to work harder for you, right? It's reciprocal. And so, those are the two main things. Aside from that, like, everything else will fall into. Like, you got to put your team first, and you have to be a leader, right? Like, you have to be self-aware to say, okay, these people are looking at me for help. They're looking at me to lead the way. They're looking at me to set the example for them. And so when you hold yourself accountable and you lead the way and you lead by example, the rest of the team will follow, because they can never come back and say, okay, well, you're telling me to do this, but you're not doing it yourself. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is why, like, so like I opened my life agency, and it's like, I haven't even started recruiting yet. Because I haven't even started selling yet. I'm not going to be, a full-on recruiter who's just recruiting. And there's nothing against that for the people who do that. Right. But for me, I want to lead by example. I want to be the top salesperson on my team. And when everyone else comes behind me, they understand that it's possible, because not only am I helping build a team behind me, but I'm doing it myself as well. And so I don't have the capacity right now with 3 kids. And also I own Click Rush Marketing. So I'm not, I don't have the capacity to go full on that yet, but I will very soon. And so for me, I want to lead by example. And before I start really bringing a team on behind me and start recruiting, I want to make sure I have myself in place first. And so,
right. Well, and I think part of that too is, and I know that you've done this on your coaching side of things, Victor, especially with like Memo down in the Valley and stuff, like what you've been able to do. But I think there is a difference between, like when I hear you say empathy, right? For me, it kind of goes back to our House of Dreams, right? And kind of just like, what do they want to accomplish? Right. I think a lot of the times, and really honestly, you could probably find a bunch of rock stars that you just burn out because you just throw them in and say, hey, it's either my way or the freaking highway. True leadership is like, okay, what are your goals? Right. And then what are we trying to do as a team? What are your goals? And then how can we put that all into one pot so that we all succeed and find success together? Right. Because I think for me now, again, I'm a little bit of a different boss. I think it also does depend on the type of situation, like the type of employee, but specifically in insurance, like for my guys, it's okay. Here's what even like this past week, what we've been doing is like, okay, here's what you did, right? What was your goals for this year? Because hey, the year ain't over yet, so let's keep pushing, right? Let's keep trying to hit those goals. But then ultimately, what do you want? Why do you want to hit that? Like Johnny, you talk about the 500K or the million, and as a leader, if I'm going to my people, like, well, why? Let's back into why you even want to hit that number, and then like you said, Victor, when you can help them tap into the why behind what the goal is, right? They'll want to work that much freaking harder for you. I love that you said that, because in both of us, Victor, we've been in situations where it is, hey, it's our way or the highway. And honestly, it's where we were able to push through. I think it also showed me a lot of, damn, like there was a lot of people that got let go too, not because they weren't good people. They just we weren't tapping into the why, right? And it showed me a lot about how to not bring on people and lead people too. But I think you've done an amazing job with that. And I'm not sure, are you still doing the coaching stuff outside of Click Rush, or is it, or is that kind of part of it, or
Yeah. I mean, I love coaching. And so that's, that'll forever be part of some of the things that I do. So, I've been working with their team down in Texas for a year, coming up on a year in January. So
it's awesome.
I've got a couple people that I work with also outside of that agency. And so, it's at the end of the day, I don't believe in like holding information back from people. Like if I can help you tap into the goals that you want to do, I'm going to help you do it. Right. And obviously, I'd like to be paid for my time, right? We all want to get compensated for our time. So that's why, I charge for it. But at the same time, like there's no one who's ever reached out to me and asked for advice that I didn't give, right? Like no one can ever say that they've ever reached out to me and asked for advice and I didn't give it to them. So, coaching is just a part of who I am. It's just, I want to see everyone succeed. There's more than enough, people in the US for all of us to get our slice of the pie and, to build the lives that we want. So,
and it's really giving in without expecting, and without, like Alex Hormozy talks about, like goodwill compounds faster than anything else. And I love that, because it's like you give, and all of a sudden people just start throwing things at you. And honestly, I think Joe is such a good example of this. Practically, like I think he's honestly, like my respect for him like has grown so much, in all honesty, Joe, because it's like I just see, like, honestly, like some of the things you say are so cheesy, and I'm like, bro, like I feel like I'm listening to like a 5th grader on TikTok saying like this stuff, but it's so true. Like it's good, successful, like basics of business. And like, just like, for example, like your net worth is your network. And I'm like, it's so true, but I'm like, dude, it's so cheesy. And then it's like, stuff like
And
that.
then,
It's so
but then when
good.
you see it though, and that's
Bro,
so many
yes.
people skip over the basics because
Yeah.
they're the basics, right? We're in advanced sales now, right? Or just because I've been doing this for 10 years, like I know the basics, right? And it's sometimes, man, we get so caught up in the day to day that you just go past where. Again, like even think about this. Thank you, John. Like, hey, you didn't know Victor, right? But then guess what? Because you knew somebody who was in your network, I'm able to facilitate that. Then you get to meet Victor, and then guess
Yeah.
what? Look at the path that you're on right now, Johnny. When you're trying to learn how to do your own marketing and generate your own leads and all this, and then you just have a marketing guru who's on the call who said, "Yeah, I've never not given somebody advice if they asked for it." Right? I mean, that's as simple as
Oh,
your
yeah. Yeah.
network changing your net worth. I love that you said that, Joe, because it is cheesy. It's cheesy as shit.
It's so cheesy, but I think
a good
it's so good
hashtag.
because the best players in the NBA, baseball, they're still like baseball players are still hitting on the tee, right, Victor? Like still hitting on the
Absolutely.
tee sometimes, or soft toss. Like basketball players are still shooting free throws. They're still shooting layups. Like you just see these things, and it's like the greatest people never skip the fundamentals and the basics.
Yep.
But I think like where I was kind of going with that is like Joe's a great example because he gives, and all of a sudden, like I guarantee there's so many opportunities that have just come to you, right? I know that we've talked about a few that are just like, what in the world? Like for me,
Right.
I'm like Joe's be talking, and I'm like, dude, I don't know how you're in that room, but I need to follow something that you're doing because it's insane. And just the relationships you built is so good. Victor, looks like you're about to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like it's he has a presence to him, right? Obviously, it's being 6'9" helps, right? But he's got the gift of gab, right? And
Yeah.
that personality and the fact that he's not afraid to put himself in positions to talk to people, to meet people, right? That network that he builds, literally, like I mean, it's a game changer, right?
Yeah.
There's no way you scale as fast as Joe scaled in the last 2 years without being able to network with really successful people who are higher than you. And when it comes to the basics, like your basics are your foundation for everything else that you're building upon. And so if you know, that's why they always say go back to the basics. Like it doesn't matter what, like it could be sports, it could be business, it could be anything, right? Like always get back to the basics, stick with the basics because that's your foundation for everything else you're building upon. And so the advanced stuff doesn't matter if you're not sticking to the foundational stuff that gets you to the advanced stuff. And so Joe, yeah, I mean, shit, my network has grown just because of Joe as well, right?
Literally, dude, I'm bringing on an agent next month because, hey, guess what? Years later, and that's you guys, nobody knows this about me and Victor. We used to be like we used to just fight in Facebook groups and talk trash about each other's systems because I like this CRM, he liked this CRM, but ultimately it was like it wasn't really fights. It was, hey, these were very educated, like back and forth. What ended up actually creating a relationship that has now gone. I mean, how many years have we known each other? And then obviously knew each other before and then got into the coaching stuff, obviously. And that's your main reason why I signed with that group. And then now still years later, sometimes it's as simple as just sending a message. Yo, hey, I got a guy. Right. And it's like, oh, hey, yeah, you're trying to do that. Like I got a guy. Right. It's the basics. It's good stuff.
That is so good. I love it. So good. So sales and marketing. So as you got into marketing, I guess a question for you is what are your beliefs about marketing? Because I feel like as sales guys, I think it's I don't know. Like I feel like marketers have a different belief system, right? Like sales guys, obviously, like there's a belief system like that you have to have. And as a marketer, there's the same thing that I feel like a lot of people don't have and inherit beliefs like that. I guess, what are some of your beliefs with marketing, especially for insurance? And how do you go about that? I know it's kind of like a complicated question, but I think it's more like, does that make sense? Like that question?
Yeah, and there's a lot of different ways you could go with it, right? It's all going to depend on perspective. Everyone builds their business differently. So what I say, what my belief on marketing and how it should be done is completely different than, say, someone else who doesn't believe in the things that I believe in, right? There's some people who don't believe in putting money into ads, that don't believe in putting money into leads, right? They want to do everything organically. Does that mean that I'm wrong and they're right? No. I mean, we just all have different things, the way that we build out our marketing. And so, like another person I'm super tight with, Sandra Gebhardt, she's 100% organic with everything she does.
Yeah.
I like to do paid stuff. Like for me, I like paid. It's a quicker route to getting leads, to churning business, to creating relationships, in my perspective, right? And so there's nothing wrong with organic. I love organic. Me and her work really well together, and we actually align pretty well because she does organic, I do paid. But it doesn't mean that I don't do organic also, right? Like organic is a lot of the reason why I have a lot of the referrals that I get for business, which accounts for probably 70% of my business. And so when it comes to marketing itself, you know, obviously one perspective is super important for whoever it is, right? You have to align your marketing with whatever your business structure is. What I would say is when it comes to marketing, I feel like if it really comes down to, the structure of how you want to build your business. And so like for me, like I'll give you an example of how I even started my marketing agency, right? I'm an insurance agent. I've been in insurance for 9, coming up on 10 years, right? I've had the luck of working for some of the most successful and largest insurance agencies in the country, like massive agencies, like over $80 million in P&C, like it's nuts, right? On the captive side. And so I've been blessed enough where I don't know what it's like to work for an insurance agency that's not paying for leads for me, right? I was blessed in that way. And so for me, when I got to the point in my career where I realized like it flipped in my head, like that switch where I was like, I'm going to open my own agency at some point, right? And I opened my agency from October of 19, and I sold in December of 21, right? A year ago. When I realized I was going to open my own agency, I started thinking as a business owner while I was still working for someone else. And I was like, I know how to work internet leads. I know how to sell internet leads. I know how to be profitable with internet leads. I know how to purchase internet leads, manage it, all that stuff. But I don't want to pay for internet leads because I know that vendors are generating leads for probably $4 or $5 and then selling it for $8 to $12 to 3 people. They're making an absolute killing. And so when I opened my agency, I'm like, man, if they're marking up the price on me that much, why don't I just go out and do what they do and not have to deal with paying that extra cost and have it exclusive to me? So I started running ads for myself, right? I got myself certified in Google, started running Google ads for myself, and I built my business that way. I built $1 million book in less than 2 years, in a little over 2 years in Florida on Google
in Florida
ads,
too.
right?
Anybody that knows Florida, that shit ain't easy.
Doing Google ads. And so I produced a little over $1 million in 2 years running Google ads for myself. That was it, right? Like, you know, obviously I had a couple of referral partners. Obviously I would get referrals, you know, from people who were out of state that were in the same line of business as me. But a large majority of my business came from my Google ads. And so when I realized I was going to sell my agency because I was in a bad contract and because I was in Florida and I'm like, this is going the wrong way, right? And I realized that I liked marketing more than I liked building my insurance agency in Florida. I was like, I'm going to open up a marketing agency and offer the service to other people. And so, you know, I aligned with people who believe in the same thing I believe in, right? Like I want leads. I want to not have to pay significantly more for these leads than I would purchasing it from a vendor, right? And so that's kind of how my services came about. And so, you know,
question on that. So when you're maybe walk us through a kind of the process, because I know there's been a lot of talk within the syndicate group recently, not even recently, really in the past, I'd say 6 months, just, hey, where do you go for lead? So when you say, hey, I align, like what should be some questions that a prospective agent is asking when looking to align themselves with a market? Like maybe kind of break it down the other side of things. Like what's your process and what are some things they should be looking for when choosing who to partner with or align with?
Yeah. And that's an incredible question. So obviously, you know, you opened up for me at my first workshop, right? Here in Fort Myers, we did it at the Hertz Arena. My presentation was built around how to optimize internet leads, right? So it's not like I'm completely against internet leads because you can be profitable with it. I just think that you could be a little bit more profitable if you do your own. But when you're coming into making that decision of like, cool, I want to generate leads, I want to work it. Some of the questions you need to be asking is like, one, do I have a marketing budget that fits? long term, right? And you know, a lot of people fail because they don't have the patience or the discipline to invest long term. And I understand, like, if your marketing budget is tight, like, you can't afford to like really wait. You got to turn a profit quickly, right? And with internet leads and with ads, it's very difficult to do that quickly. You have to have processes in place. You have to optimize. You have to make changes, right? And so, if the difference between purchasing leads and running ads for yourself, if you have a budget where you're looking to get a set amount of leads on a lead by lead basis, then internet leads is going to be your way, right? Like, because you can stop that and keep it going whenever you want, right? You can optimize, you can put filters. I have on my YouTube channel, I have the recording of my internet lead optimization, like,
which is
presentation. So if anyone wants to go in there, you could see how exactly to do that. But you can filter out leads. You can make it fit your demographic, right? So there's a way to be profitable every single time if you have the processes in place. With ads, it's different, right? There's a lot of different variables that go into ads, and it takes a lot longer, right? Like, some people tell you can get it up and running and have like a perfect ad in, 15 days. It's like, that's not necessarily the case. Like, you can churn out leads, but it takes time, right? Because you have to make changes. Like, the way an ad runs, you're sending out multiple keywords in multiple locations to different devices at different times, different days, right? And you have to take the data that's coming back and make changes based upon that data, right? And so, one, if you don't have enough of an ad spend that goes into it, you're not collecting enough data to make those decisions. Right. And so that takes time, regardless of what your ad spend is. Like, it takes time to get that data back. And a lot of people don't have that time. So if you don't have the budget and you don't have the patience or the ability, right, to wait for that data to come back to make those decisions, or to let it become optimized and really hone in and craft a solid, like, when I was running ads for myself, I ran ads for myself for 2 years. Took me probably 4 months before it really was so tuned in that it was just churning out perfect leads every time. But a lot of people don't wait those 4 months, right? And it's very hard to sell people on, like, hey, like, this is going to take some time. If you're patient, like, it's going to get there. And a lot of other marketers, they will promise you, like, oh, we'll get it up for you in 30 days. And then they tell you, oh, it's going to take another 60 and then 90. And it's like, listen, there's a lot that goes into it, right? Like, we're managing it. We're making a lot of changes. And so if you have that patience, and that's why a lot of times, like, the people who have a lot of really good success are kind of the super established agencies. Doesn't mean that it can't work for a startup, because I have plenty of agents who are getting leads for $4, inbound calls for $5, and they're doing
that shit. Right? Anybody coming from working leads, they ain't that cheap.
And it's exclusive, awesome. Right? And so, yeah, it just depends, man. It depends on, like, what you're looking to accomplish and how much of a runway you can afford, right? Yeah. Nothing's gonna happen overnight. Like, internet leads, right? You're purchasing a 1-for-1 lead. You get that lead the second you pay them, they're giving it back to you. But that doesn't mean you're gonna close it immediately. You still have to work that lead. And if you don't get that lead on that first call, guess what? It's probably gonna be 12 to 15 phone calls over the next 60 days before you even get them on the phone again, right? And then to close it from there might be another 15, 30 days or 7. Or if you're good at first call closing, it might be on the first call, right? But there's still a time frame that goes into it. Yeah. But a lot of people, they don't put it together where it's like, cool, just because I could get the lead immediately doesn't mean I'm going to close it immediately. Right. There's still a process. There's still a time frame that goes out 30, 45, 60 days before I close it. And if I don't close it, guess what? It might be a year or two before I get it if I'm still working it correctly and have processes in place to close it. So there's so many different variables. But depending on how you want to build your business, that's how your marketing is going to go, right? Like, and for me, like, I want agents who see the long-term vision of just having your own exclusive pipeline, right? And not every ad is going to be the greatest. Like, we have some ads that we run that it's not always great. There's variables that are in place. Like, I had an agent who was in Indiana. Like, dude, running an ad for PNC in Indiana is like impossible. There's very little traffic. There's very little people looking for it because the rates are so good and there's so few
very
people
stable.
who live in Indiana,
Right.
It's a great market to be in, but it's horrible for marketers. So we didn't have a successful ad. Like that happens, right? Like I can't do anything about that if there's not a lot of traffic.
Well, and I think the ability, the ability and the willingness and the vulnerability to say, hey, yeah, like this, and that's, I think a lot of these larger marketing companies that you're talking to, they aren't going to sit here and have a conversation like this. Like, what are your goals? Like, what are you trying to do? Right. And I think that's so much where a lot of us, and I've been victim of this now that I've been able to get out of production and build a team on that side of things to where now I can actually maintain a marketing or a marketer's role, right? Because it is a full-time freaking job pretty much, y'all. Like, I mean, it ain't no joke. And I'm just doing it for Redwood, right? Thinking about doing that for everybody else would be crazy. But I think a lot of us, we listen to something or we watch a video or hey, this person said this about this. And it's like, you just go sign up, right? And again, I've done this. I've tried so many different things, right? And I've been burned. Some have been successful. Some have been mediocre, whatever it is. But I wasn't taking the time to really lay out, this is what I'm looking for. It's more of, here's what you got. All right, screw it. Like, I can afford it, so I guess let's just do it, right? And that was totally the backwards way for me to go about it. And I ended up losing, and I have, lost thousands of dollars going into it that way. So
yeah,
really good.
And I'm sorry, Johnny. I just want to intervene and work, play off that real quick.
Yeah,
one of the things that I teach when it comes to like working with vendors, and I'm going to give this to everyone here right now. It's like you should be interviewing 5 or more lead vendors when you're in the process of purchasing leads. Number one, if your friend says, use this vendor, like that's who I use and I'm having great results, that means absolutely nothing to you, because if you don't have their processes in place, you don't have the quality of salespeople that they have on their staff, if you don't have the patience to work leads the way they work it, if you're someone who makes one phone call on a lead and then you return it because they didn't pick up and you return it, like you're not going to be successful on internet leads. And so it's important to interview multiple vendors, right? At least 5, because you want to be able to see, one, can they give you the filters on those leads that fits the demographic that you are trying to capture, right? And a lot of people don't even know what their demographic is. And especially on the PNC independent side, where everyone, most agents are like, I'm going independent because I could put anyone anywhere. That's the worst way to build a business. It's the worst way to build a business. And it's the worst attitude to have, because if you're not focusing on a specific type of client and a specific type of product that you want to build your business around, then you're going to be taking anything as it comes, and you're going to have non-standard all over the place, which is going to lead to a ton of customer service work and a ton of turnover and loss ratios, right? Like, who wants to build a business that way? Unless you're fully non-standard and that's your niche, which there's plenty of people who make millions doing that. But you need to be very hyper-focused on a specific product, a specific company. And the way that you build a successful agency, you focus on that product, you focus on that one phone call.
He's
on
like,
a
I
lead.
like this dude.
Like this.
You're speaking Wetmore's language, dude.
Yeah. So I forgot what I was saying. So I was reading that comment.
Just really what you're trying to focus, like being able to filter, interview the lead vendors, find the ones, like you should be talking to all of these people versus just signing with one. Yep.
So when you're building a business, right, and this is kind of veering off a little bit, but like you should be focusing on one product, one company, and building your business off of that. And then whatever else comes that doesn't fit within that target demographic, then you have the options to go across it. And it works perfect on the marketing arm, because you can focus all of your marketing and attention into that one product that you're trying to build around, right? Like when I built my agency, I knew the demographic that I wanted. I wanted homeowners with cars in areas that were super, super affordable, but also with homes that were less likely to receive damage in the event of a hurricane. I'm in Florida, right? So for me, I found the company that I wanted, American Integrity. And then I just built my entire marketing around where they were competitive at and the type of products that they were competitive with.
Yeah.
And that's how I built my agency, right? The majority of my book went through American Integrity because they were an incredible company. And here we are a year after I've sold my book, and they're like one of the last few companies still standing in Florida. And
right.
so, you know, like that's how you should build it. And then whatever doesn't fit within there, whatever comes in, whether it's a referral or maybe a lead that doesn't fit exactly what their demographic is or what their product niche is, cool. Now I have options to place them elsewhere if I have to, but my entire focus and marketing effort is geared towards the one company, the one product, and the one marketing that I'm gonna gear towards. And so that's where I was going with it.
Oh, that's so good, because even on the life side, it's like, what do I do? Final expense, mortgage protection, term, whole life, IULs, annuities. And it's like, bro, like you have to niche down. You have to build your business on one thing, become the master of one instead of the jack of all trades. Yeah, you can write a whole life. Yeah, you can write a term. Yeah, you can write an IUL. But if you're the guy that's like, okay, I'm going to take anything and everything and I'm just going to take whatever, it's like, you need to get good at one thing. And so for me, like I've been like, all right, I'm the term guy. I'm the term telesales guy. And that's it. Like I write whole life. I would say 25, 30, 40% maybe, but it's like not my niche. I mean, I do it because maybe a client doesn't qualify for whatever. And I think that's so good. I think it's so like good to narrow your focus down to one like place for acquisition and become so good at acquiring a certain type of customer, and then you can start venturing out. Right. And I think what you're saying is so good, because you build your business on that. It's a firm foundation, and you either bring, for me, like I'm not the Medicare guy. I'm going to go to Josh Young's, the Medicare machine, and be like, hey, how can my agents do Medicare or whatever? But I'm not that guy, and you can outsource that. I think is so good, or bring people in that are masters at that.
And any captive PNC person listening to this, and Victor can attest, because I've had this conversation with him multiple times when I first signed up for you to be one of the coaches, which that was crazy how many years ago that was. But like, you're like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, I mean, I'm not sleeping. My phone's never come, because when I came over from Big Blue, it was, dude, if it can be insured, I'm your guy. Literally, that was my motto. And I learned that the hardest way possible, because and this, again, back to the basics, it's super cheesy, but man, this shit works, is just because you can does not always mean that you should, right? And that killed me. And so when I learned that light bulb moment is, hey, I don't need, but it changed my business model, because I got back to the basics. Like, what do I even want this thing to look like? We're not a non-standard company right now. Should we have those options in case it comes through, or, hey, you need to move somebody off your standard book? Cool. But that is not my focus, right? My focus is, hey, I don't need 100 carriers in the state of Texas, right? I just want the best carriers in all the states. So I improved my opportunity that way versus, okay, hey, this Nerf gun arena just came through. And I always tell that story is because I spent a month and a half working the damn thing just because I can. I'm like, oh, I can do this now. A Nerf gun arena with mobile exposure, like, I can totally do this. A month and a half later, 30-something plus pages of accords and supplementals and all this. Johnny's like, we don't know what the hell are you all PNC people talking about. But a month and a half later, because I had to go to the ENS market, and then the ENS side of things had to broker it out. So we got double brokered out to like Mesa underwriters. $1,200 a year, 9-point rip. So I made a 9% rip on $1,200 a year, had to set up a premium finance, manual renewal every year. Now, I will say he's still in the books because I said
10 hours
yes.
worth of work.
Literally, for like no money. And so I love that you said that, because it is, and not to say that you can't eventually get into the 2, 3, or 4 products, kind of like what you're saying. Yeah. But it's, hey, I'm leading with this. And once for trucking, I got it down, right? Okay, auto body shops, I got it down on the commercial side. Real estate investors, I got it down to a certain level. If I get to a certain size, it's like James Jenkins. Like, I had no question asked. Like, I know who I'm sending it to if it gets too big and for what we're able or capable of handling. So, yeah, freaking spot on.
Oh, so good. Riches in the niches. So good. Victor, dude, you're a beast. What's some things that you've learned in the insurance industry that a practical, tangible advice? I love John, because he's like always leaving with one piece of like tangible advice that people can like leave and actually implement into their business. I guess for you, obviously you've had a lot of experience dealt with a ton of people. What's something that a newer agent or a struggling agent might be able to really go after just in the industry, whether it's PNC, life, health, whatever it is?
Yeah. So, and I think John will like this answer too. Outside of just make another call, right? Like make the calls. Whatever time you typically leave, spend another 15 minutes making those extra calls, because after hours, you know, from I used to leave work at 5 o'clock, 5:30. I don't remember what my time was at Allstate, and I remember my my mentor at the time told me, like, yo, stay extra 15 minutes. Everyone leaves. That's when people are getting home from work and they're picking up phones. Like, trust me. I was like, all right, cool. So while everyone's gone, 5:15, 5:30, I'm making calls till 5:45, 6 o'clock. And that 30 minutes is getting me an extra 3-4 quotes that I wouldn't have got otherwise, and had no competition. So, you know, spend the extra 15 minutes making the extra calls. Yep. Just like John says, do more, right?
And those 15 minutes end up turning into like an hour sometimes, because it's like, oh, shoot, they want to bind right now. Right on.
Yeah. Yeah. And think about it, man. Like I like to look at metrics, right? I think metrics are probably the most important thing that any business owner can do, because it tells you if you're profitable, if you're being efficient. You know, if you're spending an extra 15 minutes and you're getting an extra 2-3 quotes a day, you know, you're looking at 15 extra quotes a week, right? You're looking at 30 every 2 weeks, 60 a month, 60 extra quotes a month that you wouldn't have had otherwise, because you spent the extra 15 minutes per day, right? What's 15 minutes to you? Nothing. You're probably stuck at a stoplight waiting to, you know, get home. Guess what? That extra 15 minutes, you're probably missing all that traffic too. So you're not missing anything. Right? You're just making money. So, you know, my best piece of advice is it doesn't have to be anything over the top. Give yourself 15 extra minutes that you typically wouldn't do at the end of the day when everyone else is gone. 15 extra minutes, make the calls. Don't sit there messing around, and watch how your business changes. Watch how much extra business and extra money you bring in because you spent an extra 15 minutes a day.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Joe, what about you, bro?
I mean, dude, I'm probably right alongside that, man. Kind of more so just, especially thinking about 2023. And this is something for me, and you kind of, Johnny, you know, and Victor, you've probably seen it on Facebook, is just, I've been getting up early, right? I've been focusing on my health. I've been focusing, just trying to get better, really. But the thing really kind of what started was I was asking my guys, I said, hey, look, we need to be so freaking baller that if anybody says anything about freaking Redwood, everybody knows it's bullshit because of how freaking good we are, right? And that starts with getting here on time. I'm one of those guys where it was, hey, 8:05, cool, right? 8:10, cool, whatever. I'm not that type. I'm not a micromanager, right? But then it's like the more I was thinking of it, well, guess what? It was because I wasn't showing up before 8. If I wanted my guys, I had one guy that was showing up, and Alex, Hanky, if you're watching this, it's because he has to, because he's our service guy, and he needs that extra time to catch up for sure. But he's locked into that. For me on the sales side, it was, well, dude, how can I sit here and ask these guys and tell them, hey, dude, even it's just 1 minute, right? It's just 1 minute. So you're saying, well, it's just 1 minute. And I'm like, well, I'm flipping it the other way. It's just 1 minute. So then leave 1 minute earlier to get there, right? And so that was a light bulb moment for me, because I started to get away from the basics, right? Where it's like, hey, if I'm asking my team to be in here early, I need to be in there too, right? And so now it's like I'm not getting to the office after 7:30. So I'm getting in here early as well. I'm typically first to get here, right? I'm trying to be the last to leave. Pops is still beating me on that for sure, just because he's got a lot of shit going on too. But just take that, right? Let's be super cheesy. Classic Joe here. Back to the basics is, hey, be the first there and the last to leave. See what that does, right? And when you do that, if you implement that, like what Victor said, track it, right? Just document. And then it's like, damn, it's really only an extra 45 minutes to an hour of my day. And really getting up earlier doesn't really take away much from your mornings, other than you're just up earlier, right? You're being more proactive. The rest of your day, you'll have more energy. So yeah, be the first to get there and the last to leave. I'll totally play off what Victor said, because it's so good, so powerful.
I love it. Well, guys, thanks so much for coming on here. Victor, how can people reach out to you or follow you with what you're doing?
Yeah, just shoot me an ad on Facebook, and then I mean, you'll see me posting enough to get in contact with me. Feel free to DM anything.
Cool.
Right on, man.
Yeah. We'll
Appreciate
tag
you, Johnny.
What about you, Joe?
Shit, hey, I'm gonna pull a yak. If y'all don't know how to contact me by now, then you probably never will.
I love it. Keep everybody keep putting gas on the fire. Finish the week strong. Finish the year strong. One more week, baby. One more week, or 1.5 more weeks of the year.
Yep.
Finish it out strong. Start 2023 with a bang.
Last bit
Yeah,
though. Sorry, I meant to. I told Alex we'd shout him out. Tomorrow, y'all. Victor, hey, you got kids. We have Santa Claus on the Saturday morning cartoon show at 9 a.m. Okay, so like an actual Santa and everything. So if you do that with your kids or whatever and you want to bring them on the show, literally Alex has Santa on the show to be able to talk with your kids. We'd be happy to even bring them on if they like specifically want to talk to them or if they just want to comment and ask Santa questions or anything. But again, that's Saturday morning cartoons tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Central, Christmas Eve, right? Kick it off with Santa Claus. And then obviously then we got Christmas. So just sorry about that. I wanted to give a quick shout out because again, hey, name another Facebook group that's got fucking Santa Claus on the call. Come on, man. Like
real life Santa, baby.
We're disrupting.
Coming on tomorrow. If you're not there, what are you doing? So
right.
Yeah, come on. And guys, we have some crazy guests coming in 2023. That's all I got to say. So just stay engaged. Start inviting your friends, like literally to the group. This group is powerful. This group is changing lives, growing your network. Like literally think about this. One connection in this group could literally change the trajectory of your business. And you could share that to other people, your agents. What if your agent were to meet somebody that were to make a powerful difference and make a powerful difference in your agency? So make sure you're sharing this group with other people because there's valuable stuff coming every single day, except Sunday. It's a Lord's Day. But guys, refer your friends, send them out, invite them, and make sure you're tuning in every single Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. And it's also coming on YouTube. So subscribe to that. Drop in the comments what you learned, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace out, guys.
Go.